Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chess Strategy, the YouTube channel that brings you studies, puzzles, and other cool videos every day. So, if you watched yesterday's video, I promised you I will get something harder for you today, and this one is really hard, so I can say I kept my promise. It's white to move and win here, and it's really, really hard to see how. As you see, there are a bunch of pawns here. White has 5, black has 4. We're 2 steps away from promotion on both of these. But double pawn here and the triple pawn here is maybe not the best place for a pawn. But anyway, we are going to win, and these threats are going to help us do it. So, well, you can now pause the video and analyze this and see if you can find the winning variation or the winning idea for white here. When you return, we'll go through all variations together and there will be more chances to pause the video later on. Go ahead. And welcome back. Okay, so we have these 2 pawns here, of course. They are very important for us. Black is threatening to take either one of them with his king. So we have to address that. There's no point in moving this pawn. Black will just grab here, and we are not getting any further of this. Put black king in a better place and lost the pawn. So the same goes. There's no point in moving the king. So we have some other pieces to look at. Okay, let's see what happens if we just try to push the f7, the pawn f pawn to f7, and really sacrifice that because black is forced to take, obviously. Otherwise, we will get a queen. But now we put the black rook in a better place. He's controlling everything here and controlling everything here with his rook. Even though we can grab this and protect our pawn, it really doesn't help because this pawn is also under attack. And now this rook is very good placed for black, and there is no chance we're going to win this as white. So the very interesting move here and really hard to analyze is what happens if black takes here on h6. Now we are protecting this pawn. We are also having some control over the h file here if black wants to run his pawn down. And if black does the mistake of grabbing this, we can push the pawn here with a discovered check like this and then promote in the next move. But this is not good enough to win because black will not take here on b6. Instead, it will take on b5. It's also an important pawn for us. The rook is in pretty good place, but there are long variations. The best chance for white is to push g6 and try to attack here and really grab some pawns and still have a lot of pawns to win. Black will stop most of the things here, and we can do some exchanges like this. And even though we're a pawn up, this is just not good enough for white to win. And there are many different ways to look at it. We can see here also what happens if after black plays rook f7. If we play rook g7, this is not good enough either. We can push the pawn here, but black will put his rook on b6, and now he will stop this here, and we cannot really do anything to save this. So this is just a draw. I'm not going to go through all the variations after rook takes h6. This is not the right solution. It's pretty good, but it's not enough for white to win. So, okay, what are we doing then? Well, I will give you the idea. If you haven't found the solution yet, here's the winning idea for white. We want to push this pawn. We don't want black to take it. Instead, we want to force the black rook to take it like this. Otherwise, we will promote. And opening up for the next sacrifice. Now we want to push f7. And black is forced to go back and take this also. And the plan then is to put our rook on b8. We cover our pawn here. The black king cannot go anywhere, and we're threatening a checkmate on b4. The only problem with this idea is that it's losing. That's a big problem because black will play rook to f3 check, and if we move the king away, well, then we don't threaten any checkmate anymore. Black will run his pawn and it will become a queen quicker than ours. There's no point in putting the pawn in between either because it's pinned, so now it's not threatening anything. And again, black will just push his h pawn and win this. So why did I give you the winning idea? Well, because we want to understand the first splendid move for white, which is to make this plan work. So the plan is to sacrifice here and then sacrifice there and then put the rook here. But we have to do something in between to prepare for that. And now here's another chance for you with all this information to pause the video again and see if you can find this fantastic move. And welcome back. Well, now with this information, I think you understand what you have to play first to prepare for all of this. You have to use this pointless pawn on f4 as it seems and put it on f4. This is the only winning variation for white, and it's of course not easy to find from the beginning. F2 to f4 like this. The idea is if or when black takes here, then we will push on. He's forced to take. The black pawns are just too far away to reach the first rank, so he has to take what we are offering him, the next pawn, and we put our rook on b8, and you see the black pawn here is stopping the rook from coming anywhere, which means we will checkmate here in the next move, or in best case for black, two moves. He can sacrifice the pawn, we take it, and then it's going to be checkmate. So that's how we start this, but we're not done. So we looked at what happened if black took this pawn, but he's not really forced to do so. We can try other things. So let's look at them also. For instance, if it passes with e4 instead of taking here, then we're going to use the exact same variation. We first push b7, black is forced to take, f7 comes, and really he has to take, and it's all here again. Black cannot do anything. This pawn is still in the way for black, so that's going to be the same. But if black passes with the g pawn instead, now it's not the same. Because if we try this like this and it takes, and we go back here, well, then he can take the pawn with the rook and is covering on b4, and all of a sudden black is winning this. So what we have to do is some other stuff. Let's go back. We can push this pawn and sacrifice it, but it's really pointless. Instead, we are now aiming for these two connected pawns. We simply grab here on e6, and we're going to use these two connected pawns to win this. Black is just not quick enough. He can play g6, but we are going to attack him. We can push e6. We can push really the pawn also. If you try something like this, this is just going to be way too bad for black. We will have material enough to win. Black will not find any perpetual checks, anything like that. So this is just winning for us. And really after we're looking at other ideas for black, what we are winning is just by pushing the pawns. We can push the b7 pawn also to get the rook away from potential checks and stuff like that. But also we can push e6 with a tempo because we are attacking the rook. Check here is just too slow. We push b3, and we will be promoting before black does, and we will have superior material advantage, and this is winning. So that's, I think, all we can see. We can also look at what happens if he ignores it in total, just pushing the h pawn. In this variation, it's the same. If we sacrifice both pawns, black take both pawns, then he can still grab here on f4 and protect on b4 checkmate. So I would recommend just to do the same variation here. Just take on e5 and use our pawn strengths here just to run for a new queen like this. And of course, we can always grab here and really protect and stop the pawn from coming to h1. So this is just not good enough. We're going to grab here and grab the pawn, and then our pawns are going to win. Okay, so I think I covered most of the variations. Of course, this is very, very difficult and complicated, but I hope you understood the basic idea here. Just start with a beautiful pawn sacrifice f4 to block things up, and then continue to sacrifice these two pawns also. So we're actually starting with 3 pawn sacrifices, and then put our rook here on b8, and then we win. Fantastic study, I think. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't be sad if you didn't manage to solve it. I don't think most people did. I'll perhaps give you something easier tomorrow, or it might be even harder. You never know. You just have to log in and have a look. See you then. Bye bye.